which individuals were recently arrested and booked at the Fulton County Jail. Upon being booked in, the cases were soon formally accused by the prosecutor. Hence, this would be the defendant's initial appearance before a judicial officer. I will inform the defendant of their current case number, the charges brought against them, appoint counsel if necessary, and also set a bond. For some cases, they may be reset to another court date. And Ms. Bridgewater, good afternoon. What's the court date, please?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. It's going to be October the 24th.
Okay. For cases that are reset to October 24th, that's going to be at 9 a.m. Most of these, it will be to a calendar we call the state all-purpose calendar. And that calendar is most of the time handled by Zoom or virtually. So please do not appear in courtroom G33 if that's your next calendar. That is all going to be handled via Zoom, and you should obtain a Zoom link from the clerk's office. If you are charged with a misdemeanor offense or more, please remember that you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to represent you. Mr. Cohen, good afternoon. Who is your client?
Good afternoon, Judge. I have a gentleman named Brendan Williams. He was added to the calendar this morning. He should be on there. It was a case where he didn't update the court with his new address. I've already signed notice in the clerk's office this morning, and we were asking the court for an unsecured judicial release. He didn't update the court with his new address.
All right.
It's a criminal trespass charge.
All right. And you said Williams?
Yes, Brendan Williams. I can give you the case number. I was at the jail this morning. They confirmed that he would be added.
It probably going to be a few moments because I'm going to address the first appearance cases, though that is not on my first appearance calendar. Okay.
Your Honor, I have a notice that they're still missing 3 cases that are not on the calendar. So perhaps he's one of those.
Okay.
Good morning, or good afternoon. I'm sorry. He's not. The 3 cases that are missing, one was a dismissal. The other 2 were pad referrals, so they will not be accused. So the correct number of cases are on the calendar. As far as the add-on, there's no add-on calendar that's been sent out to my knowledge. So, of course, someone can email me a case number if someone wants me to take a look at it.
Mr. Cohen, if you can put your client's case number in the chat to Ian Walker, ASG Ian Walker, and then also send it to me in the chat, and we will look at it when we address it. Courtroom 2, who do we have, or do you want me to go to courtroom 3?
No, we can go. Well, courtroom 3 is the Spanish interpreter, Your Honor.
All right. Is our Spanish interpreter on Zoom? Not yet. All right. Miss Kim, as soon as the interpreter appears, we'll put you in a breakout with courtroom 3. Courtroom 2, who do we have in the chair, please?
This is James Wallace. I believe he's probably one of them that's supposed to have been accepted to PAD. I have James Wallace and Kenneth Pack.
That is correct. They both were accepted to PAD. So, Ms. Kim, if you could send over the consent order, I'll respond and we'll get those taken care of pre-accusation.
All right. What's the bond amount set for those? What's the amounts that you
have? We defer to the court, but it will be a UJR.
Let's just do a UJR if there's no bond amount set.
Understood. You have Ms. Kim?
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Do we have a non-PAD case?
And Mr. Walker, one question, Your Honor. Mr. Walker, who was the dismissal?
It was the 3rd person. I'll put it in the chat when I look it up because I don't want to get the names mixed up. But Peck and Wallace are PAD. The other 3rd person was missing. That's the dismissal. I'll put it in the chat.
Thank you.
Position number 5, Johnson.
Okay.
Hold on.
Okay. Terrace Johnson is case number 23 CR 6081B, accused of battery, family violence, and simple battery, family violence from September 30th, 2023. Mr. Johnson, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Ms. Abden. Any priors, Mr. Howard, or
the rest?
I'm sorry, did you say first arrest?
My bad, 8th arrest.
8th arrest.
2019 fleeing an officer on probation out of Chatham County selling marijuana. I don't recall seeing any violence, but that 2019 case for fleeing appears to be open out of Chatham.
All right, thank you. Miss Sauri, what's your recommendation?
Yes, Your Honor. The state's recommendation in this case is a $10,000 surety bond. That's $5,000 on the battery family violence, $2,000 on the simple battery, and $3,000 on the cruelty. There should be a cruelty charge that I added.
Okay, it's not on my calendar, but it may be on Odyssey.
Yes, I added it. Your Honor, the facts in this case is that officers responded to 4701 Flat Shoals Road in Union City. They were dispatched out regarding a physical dispute. They spoke with the victim in this case, whose name is Zena. That's
Garvin?
Zehna. Last name is Garvin. She stated that she was inside gathering her items for her and the defendant's son, and he waited for her outside. At some point, he started to bang on the door, and when the victim opened the door, the defendant grabbed her by the neck and started to choke her and pushed her up against the wall. Your Honor, the victim did state to police that she was not able to breathe at that point, and she tried to fight back so the defendant would stop choking her, and then he threw her on the ground, put her in a headlock, and she sustained a busted lip. The defendant then got into his vehicle to leave the scene. And when the victim stood behind the vehicle to call 911, the defendant backed his vehicle into her. The cruelty charge comes from the fact that their child was there and witnessed the events. And Your Honor, we have submitted this to the DA's office. They have approved it. So I will be submitting a transfer order. The conditions of the bond we're requesting is no contact with the victim, a stay away, third-party transfer, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Your Honor, our office did speak with the victim. She stated that there hasn't been any violence since because they have still been in contact and it's never happened before, but she wants contact, but we are requesting that there's no contact, nothing further.
All right. Ms. Abden?
Thank you, Your Honor. If we could just sound for the complaining witness, it's my understanding she's on the line or wanted to be on the line.
Ms. Garvin, Zena Garvin, if you need to speak, you need to unmute and start your video. Oops. I gather is that young lady there with the long hair?
Me?
Yes, we can hear you. Ms. Garvin, did you want to address the court?
Yes, I would like to.
All right, please raise your right hand.
Do you guys see me? I'm sorry. I don't.
Yes, we can. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
What else would you like to tell us, Ms. Garvin?
So as stated before, this is the first incident that this has happened. I do not have any fear of the of Mr. Johnson. We do share kids. We do have a schedule as far as, you know, him getting the kids while I do work and bringing them to me. We've never had any, you know, altercation issues like this before. So I'm, again, like just requesting some leniency towards it. Again, you know, I do need him, you know, I still need his assistance. You know.
What?
I'm sorry.
To do what?
As far as transportation with the kids, getting them from school and bringing them to the house. Sometimes I work on Fridays in the office at my job. So I do need him to watch the kids while I am at work.
Isn't it the allegation that he almost ran you over with a car?
He didn't almost run me over with the car. He was just trying to get out of the scene and I was behind the car.
Oh. And the allegation that you were allegedly strangled to the point that you could not breathe?
Again, it was for a couple of seconds, a second or two. Again, I wasn't in fear of my life. It just, you know, he has a lot going on. As far as his mother, she does, you know, she was diagnosed with cancer. So not excusing his behavior nor actions, but he does, he has been going through a rough week, and we have been bickering throughout the week that week. So, but I don't know the cause of that buildup, but I was not in fear of my life. It was definitely shocking. But I did not feel like he was trying to kill me at that second.
Okay. Understood. Thank you. Ms. Upton?
Thank you, Your Honor. My client is 30 years old. He was born in Georgia, has lived here his whole life. He's gainfully employed as a maintenance worker for the city of Fairburn. He's been doing that for this past year. I understand that he's on probation, Your Honor. His probation officer is aware of the allegations in this case, and he also told his probation officer that he had turned himself in. He did turn himself in, Your Honor, as soon as he did find out that he had a warrant out for his arrest, as the incident did occur. I think it was over a week ago, about a week ago. So we are requesting no further violent contact, Your Honor. Do not object to the stay away. My client and the complaining witness are not living together. And so I'm asking Your Honor to allow the parties to continue to have no further violent contact and co-parent their children. As you've heard, my client tells me that he works from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. and that the complaining witness works from 3 p.m. to 12 a.m. And so his assistance with the children, as you've heard, is essential to their upbringing at this time. And it's also my understanding that when my client will be with the children, if the court is inclined, that it would be at his sister's house where he's currently living. And so if Your Honor is not inclined to grant the no further violent contact and a no further contact is what is ordered, we do ask for a third party transfer. And in terms of bond, Your Honor, I am requesting a signature bond. My client does not have the financial resources to afford the recommended bond. And if Your Honor is not inclined, then a reasonable bond of $500.
And Your Honor, I did want to place additional
Oh,
convictions.
I'm granting the state's request.
Okay.
I'm greatly concerned about the allegations in the warrant. I do appreciate the statements by Ms. Garvin, but what is more relevant is the sworn statements of the police officer taken down soon after the incident, and they raise a great concern. The allegations do rise to the level, in my opinion, to a felony charges. I'm granting the motion to transfer the case to the district attorney's office to be tried as a felony. The charges are probably going to be aggravated assault, strangulation, and aggravated assault with a vehicle. The cruelty in the third degree has not been added to Odyssey. So, Mr. Sari, I'm just looking at it right now. It's still not been added on. So right now, I'm going to grant you $6,000 on the battery and $4,000 on the simple battery. And if you do decide to add if it does upload, I'm going to put $1,000 signature bond through the jail on the cruelty charge. But I don't see it on. Ms. Bridgewater, is it uploaded on your end?
I'm sorry, I don't show it either.
Okay. No further contact with Zena Garvin and any child that he shares with her. If he seeks to have visitation or custody with the child or children that he shares, he would need to go through Superior Court and file for legitimation. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons, and no firearms. Thank you.
Your Honor, will you repeat the bond amount again, please?
6,000 on the battery, 4 on the simple battery. And if the cruelty charge is added, it'll be a $1,000 signature bond through the jail.
And this is a surety bond, am I correct?
For the others, yes, surety bond.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Johnson is not eligible for release anyway. He's got a Chatham County hold as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
We need to place courtroom 3 and Ms. Kim and Ms. Chauncey, who has appeared, in a breakout room, please. Ms. Chauncey, good afternoon. Thank you for being here.
Judge, courtroom 3, Ms. Kim and the interpreter.
Yes, thank you. Next case, please. In courtroom 1, 2.
Jaipur, support.
Oh, I'm sorry. And Mr. Johnson's case is going to be reset to October 24th, pending the transfer to Superior Court. Did you say position 7?
Number 4.
Oh, 4, excuse me. This is State versus Kashiar Janpur, accused of simple battery from October 7th, 2023. Mr. Janpur, you have been advised of your right to remain silent. Your attorney is going to be Ms. Abden, and your case number is 23 CR 6075E. Any priors, Mr. Tucson?
23 total. Last arrest was April, false imprisonment, ag assault. Possession of a knife or a firearm during the commission, probation. He got open cases in Gwinnett battery, simple battery, family violence, another simple battery, family violence, regular simple battery, trespass, disorderly conduct.
That's good. That's good. Thank you. Mr. Pierre Thomas? I'm sorry, Mr. Thomas, you're on mute.
Oh, I said good afternoon. Brief facts of the case is that on October 7, 2023, an officer was dispatched to an incident at the incident location, which is 5423 Laurel Ridge Drive in Alpharetta. In reference to a domestic violence call, officer was advised that the defendant had left the residence after attacking the victim, his brother. The incident started when the defendant had a verbal altercation with his girlfriend, and the victim attempted to mediate the situation. At the time, the defendant grabbed, shook, and threw the victim. Your Honor, the recommendation from the state is a signature bond through the pretrial services, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, no violent contact with his brother, the victim. The victim's name is Alex Jampur, traditional spelling of Alex, and a anger management course. Our office was able to get in contact with the victim. The victim stated that he is okay with contact with his brother, and that he is okay with him returning to the residence. But I leave that into the court's discretion. If at this time we can, I do believe that he is on the call. If at this time we can sound for the victim, Alex Jampur.
Well, you're advocating for a signature release bond, aren't you?
Yes.
All right, I don't need to hear anyone else. What was the amount? 2,500?
There was no amount given, Your Honor.
Your Honor, even though we asked for a signature, but I think that the victim still has the right to be heard under Marcy's rules, so we would.
Understood, but you've represented that he doesn't fear the victim, correct?
I know, but we still sound for the victim in case they would like to address the court. That's all. It's their right to be heard.
I disagree, but I'll allow it. Mr. Alex Jampur, since I'm granting contact between you and the defendant, would you like to add anything to the court?
Your Honor, I agree. The signature bond is sufficient. My brother didn't really do anything in this case, and
that part I'm not interested in. I just want to know whether you are in fear of him.
No, I am not.
Thank you. Bond is going to be set at $5,000. It's going to be a signature bond through pretrial services. He's to report to pretrial once a month. He's to have no violent contact with Alex Jampur, and he is not to consume any alcohol, no illegal drugs, and not own any weapons or firearms. He needs to attend, and this is not alleged as family violence, so he's to attend a one-day anger awareness program at pretrial. If he gets arrested again, or if he does not report to pretrial, the $5,000 signature bond will be revoked and amended to a surety bond or a cash bond. Thank you. Next case, please.
Holly, that'll be prejudged due to the violent criminal history, and defendant is on probation for 2 counts of ag assault. Just in case anybody cares.
Thank you. My Francois, who do we have, please?
Position 2, Fitzpatrick.
All right. And this is Zakia Fitzpatrick, accused of 3 counts of simple battery from September 26, 2023. Case number 23 CR 6079G. Ms. Fitzpatrick, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Your attorney is going to be Ms. Abden. And any priors, please, Mr. Howard?
Yeah, she got 2 CP cases for robbery. She been in jail for a minute. I'm not really sure the time.
All right.
But she got open
That's-
felony.
I understand. Thank you. Ms. Sowry?
Yes, Your Honor. In this case, video surveillance shows that the victim, whose name is Roger Ray, that's R-A-Y, he was sitting in the bus loop of MARTA, located at 70 Hamilton E. Holmes Drive, when he was approached by an individual named Sherday Burton, who asked the victim to use his cell phone. The victim did allow her to use the phone and received it back. Shortly after that, the Sherday's brother asked the victim to use his phone, and once he used the phone, he began to walk away while in possession of the victim's phone. So the victim followed Sherday and approached him along with 3 other juveniles, which one being the defendant. The victim asked for his phone back, and that's when the defendant punched him in the back of the head from behind. The victim backed away, and then the defendant punched him again 2 more times. And then the victim attempted to walk away, and that's when the defendant then again punched him in the back of the head, which caused the victim to fall to the ground. So, Your Honor, that's why we have 3 counts of simple battery. They're all distinct and separate acts. The state's recommendation in this case is a $6,000 surety bond. That's $2,000 on each count, a 1-day anger awareness, stay away, no contact with the victim, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. And as pretrial stated, the defendant does have an open battery, simple battery against an officer, and robbery. Nothing further.
And the victim's name is Sherday?
No, Your Honor, it's Roger Ray.
Who's your defendant?
Her name is Fitzpatrick. The other 2 individuals that I mentioned, they were involved in this scheme.
Okay. Ms. Abdon?
Thank you, Your Honor. It's my understanding this is a Riverside issue. My client was booked on September 29th, and today's date is October 10th, and so she was not brought to court for these charges within the 72-hour window. So I am requesting a signature bond on these. In addition, she's already being held on felony bond, and so she's not going to be able to get out on that. And so I am asking for a signature bond for the 3 misdemeanor charges. My client is 17 years old. She is a high school junior, Your Honor, and she has strong ties to the community. She lives with her mom, who I spoke with today, and I have 2 people who would be able to be her co-signers if Your Honor is inclined to grant her a signature bond.
Well, that's what I was looking at also. I'm a little confused. Where has she been between her felony first appearance and now? Medical reset? What was going on?
She's just been in jail, Your Honor. She's not, to my understanding, there has not been any reasonable explanation for the delay.
I'm taking a look right now, Your Honor. Oh, my eyes can move any slower.
222258. So she was seen on September 30th, her first appearance with Judge George. And so she's been in custody for almost 10, 11 days without being sent here. And I know the case has been accused, but I'm concerned about the Riverside issue. So, I mean, I can set a a $5,000 signature bond through the jail on each count. That's all I can do.
So, Your Honor, my response to that is she was just booked in on these charges yesterday. I understand that she was in custody, but if you look at the charge tab, she was booked in on the 9th.
Mm-hmm.
So she has not been held on these charges for more than 72 hours.
$15,000 signature bond through the jail.
Okay, we just want to put it on the record. It wasn't Riverside, that's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
And also, I want to say that the warrant was issued yesterday. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Position 1, Brown.
This is State versus Amanda Brown, 23 CR 006080F, accused of theft of lost or mislaid property from October 9, 2023. And Ms. Brown, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Ms. Abden.
First arrest, SOB jail was the recommendation.
All right. Ms. Sowry?
Yes, Your Honor, this
Just
incident
one
took-
second, just one second. Someone called iPhone keeps putting messages on the chat. Who is it? Who is it? Is someone called iPhone? Is that the lady in the black and white shirt? All right, there's another person, iPhone. If you don't identify yourself, we will remove you from the Zoom.
It's me.
You need to start your video.
I was trying to get access to the
I
courtroom.
need to start your video. All right. Why do you want access to courtroom 3?
So an inmate or the person in courtroom 3. I was trying to. Well, we were trying to see what his charges were, or what
You
was going to
cannot
happen.
go to that Zoom because you cannot go into that breakout because the defendant is having a confidential conversation with his lawyer. So please do not ask that anymore. Understood?
The
Do
defendant.
you
doesn't have his
understand?
lawyer.
Do you understand? Thank you. Please mute your screen. Thank you. All right. Ms. Sowry, any recommendation for Amanda Brown?
Yes, of course. The recommendation is a $15,000 surety bond, a stay away from the incident location, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. The incident took place at 320 Fairburn Road in Atlanta. Our office is still waiting for the full report. However, based on the warrant that we have, it says that the defendant had a stolen handgun in her possession, and she claimed to have found it at the incident location.
So you're charging a theft of a firearm?
Theft of mislaid property. The firearm is at issue.
And isn't that a felony charge?
We sent it over to the DA's office and they declined.
My goodness. I think you might want to revisit that. I don't think state court has jurisdiction over theft of a firearm. But what's your bond recommendation?
A $15,000 surety bond, a stay away, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons.
Okay. Ms. Abden?
Thank you, Your Honor. We are requesting a signature bond. She is recommended. This is her first arrest. As you've heard, there is very limited information about what the allegations are at this time. And my client is 31 years old. She has very strong ties to the community. She was born in Georgia, lived here her whole life. She graduated from Camp Foster and got a culinary arts certificate here in Georgia as well. She has a valid Fulton County address. She has no prior FTAs, so she's not a flight risk at this time, Your Honor. She is gainfully employed, and she does qualify for public defender services. And she does not reside at this address. It's my understanding that my client denies these allegations. I understand that the nature of the allegations are concerning, considering the fact that they involve a firearm, Your Honor, but my client's never been arrested before. She has no criminal history or a history of being violent at all. So there's no evidence showing that she would be a danger to the public if she's released on a signature bond. And so I'm requesting a signature bond, Your Honor, and she would not object to the stay away.
Right. Bond is set at $3,000 surety bond. Next court date is October 24th. Theft by receiving stolen goods, a firearm, is automatically a felony charge. So theft of a firearm, I'm not absolutely certain, but I'll leave it up to the prosecution. But right now, like you said, a firearm is involved, it's a surety bond. And the next court date is October 24th. Condition to the bond is absolutely no firearms and no weapons. Thank you.
Your Honor, did you say 3,000?
500
500?
surety, 3,500 surety.
Thank you.
Position 3, Gentry.
Okay. This is 23 CR 6077F. And in this particular case, Miss Jeremy Gentry is accused of criminal trespass, simple battery, family violence from October 9th, 2023. Miss Gentry, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Miss Abdon. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
Yeah, I'm about to send you something in the chat.
All right. Well, I don't see anything yet. Miss Sari, with regards to the theft of firearm, did y'all ever find out the value of the alleged item?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay, thank you. All right, I see it. Thank you very much. There is a probation matter with charges that I'm going to be waiving sounding on that. Miss Sari, what's your bond recommendation for Miss Jeremy or Miss Gentry?
Yes, it's a $5,000 surety bond. That's $3,000 on the simple battery family violence, $2,000 on the criminal trespass, a 6-week anger management course, no contact with the victim, a stay away, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Your Honor, the incident took place at MARTA, located at 2424 Piedmont Road in Atlanta. The victim in this case, her name is Takesha, that's Takesha, last name Sanders. She's an employee of MARTA, and she's the defendant's girlfriend. On this date, the defendant came to the incident location and began arguing with the victim in the parking lot, and he grabbed her by the arms, pushed her into a gate. He was on the premises after being issued a permanent ban from MARTA, in which he battered a different victim, and that case is still open. It's 23 CR 005743B as in boy, and that incident occurred last month. Your Honor, regarding the history, the defendant does have a 2021 interference with government property conviction, a 2022 criminal attempt to commit a rape.
We're going to object to that being on the record, Your Honor, for obvious.
Sorry, I don't have to keep repeating myself. Your argument's over. Ms. Abdon, what's your response?
Thank you, Your Honor. My client is 36 years old. He has strong ties to the community. He's lived in Georgia for the past 10 years. He is currently employed, but qualifies for public defender services. I am requesting that Your Honor consider a signature bond for my client, and if Your Honor is not inclined, a reduced bond of $500 or at a maximum $1,000. That is all he can afford at this time. It's my understanding that the complaining witness is not afraid of my client and sought to recant. I did try to contact the complaining witness, Your Honor, but was not able to. And so in addition to the conditions that were recommended, I would also object to the 6-week anger management course, Your Honor. This is not my client's sentencing. It's just a bond hearing. We don't, these are just allegations at this time. So I would ask Your Honor to consider allowing that to be dealt with at a later time. And my client would also not object to the stay away. And that is all.
On the criminal trespass is $1,000. The simple battery is $1,500. Total bond is $2,500. It's a surety bond. To stay away from all MARTA property until further order of the court, and no further contact with Takesha Sanders. He's to stay 200 yards away from Miss Sanders and not communicate with the person in any way, form, or manner. We're talking about Jeremy Gentry, booked in as a female, but is he identified as male?
My understanding, my client identifies as a male, Your Honor.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Judge, we have our last case, the interpreter case, position 6, Mr. Perez.
All right, is Ms. Kim completed with her? Okay, we are good. Thank you. Courtroom 3?
Second room. No, he's in courtroom 2, Judge.
Oh, courtroom 2, I beg your pardon. And Ms. Chauncey, do you solemnly swear and affirm that the information you translate will be a true and accurate interpretation with no changes or embellishments?
I do, Your Honor.
Thank you. And I lost my place on the calendar. I'm so sorry. Mr. Perez, here it is. This is case number 23 CR 6076A, State versus Roberto Perez Vargas.
Este es el caso 23-6076A, la Fiscalía en contra de Roberto Pérez Vargas.
All right, and we can switch off our live stream and YouTube right now.
Your Honor, just before we do that, I'd like to place on the record by switching off the live stream, we are closing the courtroom and
This is of a sensitive nature.
I understand. I just want to put the state.
Will the state waive sounding? Will the state waive
They
sounding?
will not waive sounding. I just want to put on the record that we are required to have open court proceedings like any other court proceeding is held. I understand this is a first appearance. I understand the charges, but by shutting off the live stream, you are making this a closed courtroom, and that is not permissible. So we want to
Objections noted. Objections
Thank
noted.
you.
Thank you. Please terminate the live stream recording. All right. Mr. Perez Vargas is accused of sexual